live. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Caitlin. I fucked
Oh,
up.
wow.
You don't want to know?
I actually do want to know why. Why?
You know what? I didn't fuck up. The Hummel Brothers corned beef fucked up.
Oh,
Because
okay.
who in their right mind sells low sodium corned beef the week before St. Patrick's Day? It was a big bin. I buy Hummel Brothers because I cook corned beef more than just once a year, and I cooked it. And my wife's like, "Why'd you buy the low sodium corned beef?" I'm like, "Oh God." So my corned beef was not as flavorful. Hence, my carrots and cabbage weren't as flavorful. And I don't know. Just read your labels, I guess. More low sodium. It was. I mean, the meat was fine. Don't get me wrong. Nice New England boiled dinner, and I do mashed potatoes instead of boiled potatoes. But holy shit, I was still disappointed. Disappointed in me. Disappointed in you, America. Who the fuck makes so low sodium corned beef? Sorry. So
Okay.
I'm sipping even though I'm rehydrating with my seltzer.
Yeah, no, I am not Irish. So, St. Patrick's Day is a big thing in Boston, but I've never bought into it.
I asked Grok today if you're watching live on this, if you're catching me saying this, go to my account, and scroll down a little bit. Apparently, there's the Boston PD. You know what? I'll pull this up. Let me pull up my timeline here, my profile, and share this. There was pictures of. Oh, it says I'm live. Look at that. That's pretty. Um, do. Why isn't it? Oh, did I reply? I replied. Okay, so I asked. There's a bunch of pictures here. You can see it. Okay, on screen. Sorry, big jugs. The Boston PD confiscated a bunch of green, like Poland Spring or Market Basket water jugs, green, and it kept saying Borg on it. So these are just like, are we gonna keep playing iTag or are you gonna holla at your Borg, Taco Borg? And I'm like, what? Okay, what stupid Zoomer thing is this? And I asked Grok, and Grok told me that Borg likely means blackout rage gallon. A
I've
drink
never heard
a
of
drink
it.
made of vodka, water, and flavoring in a gallon jug. I'm
Oh, like, wait, like Pike Punch, like Party Punch?
yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
back during well, you're older than I am, but like our days in college when they used to
Yeah.
make
Well,
alcohol in a trash can.
I was a Pike, so yeah.
Oh my God, you were a Pike?
Yeah.
Holy, I didn't know that. We've been doing this podcast for years and I didn't know you were a Pike.
Yep.
So you know what Pike Punch is?
That was good and it was delicious.
Yeah, no,
We
I
used to get the shittiest vodka to make with it because it
I
was,
know.
and
Well,
just
yeah.
so much sugar. But yeah, Borg is blackout rage gallon, which is, I mean, glad to see the young generation is keeping up with St. Patrick's Day tradition and getting absolutely obliterated. Because I've heard that young people are drinking way less, but Boston
Yeah,
keeping it real.
no, I think I saw many pictures in South Boston of people being obliterated today on a Sunday, and I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do it
Cops
anymore.
doing their job. One guy tried to run away or fight the cops. Saw that online. And the St. Patrick's Day tradition
But
of the
isn't that like a usual thing on in
you
Southie?
don't want to fight the cops on St. Patrick's Day. That's an
I mean,
incredibly stupid idea. You don't want
you
to
don't
fight the
want
cops.
cops
Period.
any
Yeah,
any day,
yeah.
and I feel like someone fights the cops in Southie like every day.
Uh, maybe 15, 20 years ago. I
Okay.
think there's too many yuppies there now. Um,
Yeah, well, that's also true.
I'll tell you half the reason, Caitlin, I want to run for public office one day in the future is so that I can be at the dais. Excuse me, burping. Of the St. Patrick's Day breakfast, and I am
Oh.
gonna hire the most ruthless comedians to write me jokes about every politician on that day. And I mean it. Like I would just whatever elected office serve one term, and just so I could, for 3 years, maybe 4, of roasting the shit out of the politicians. Wu was there, Healey was there, DiZoglio was there, Karen Spilka was there. This is from the pictures I saw. So Elizabeth Warren was not there. She only makes it from time to time, too
Well,
busy having a beer in her kitchen.
yeah, with her husband because he's supposed to be there, right?
Right.
That was like one of the funniest Trump tweets of all time, right? Like where he like is just making that fun of that picture
Yeah.
where he's like, she's thank you for being here. He's her husband. He's supposed to
He is. Look, Trump is a funny. He's a funny
like
guy. He's a fun. I've never said he's not funny. That's for sure. I mean, he's a little
right.
bit,
No,
but
I love it when people are like, God damn it, he's so funny. I hate that he's so funny. And it's
the
like he's so funny. Like yeah, God damn it, he's so
the
funny.
not State of the Union, the address to Congress the other week, and he
Oh, we
goes,
haven't gone over this.
"We haven't. I want.
Let
I wish I should try to find the clip of
I mean,
him
Dems are in
talking to the.
disarray. They couldn't even stand for like a kid getting into West Point.
Yeah.
That was it's just like I'm sorry, but there's just like bipartisan things that you like clap and stand for. They couldn't even do
This
it.
is this when we talk about Trump derangement syndrome, it's a real thing at this point. It genuinely is, where you think you are so adamantly convinced yourself that you are the good guy in this movie, and you are standing up to pure evil in Donald Trump, which is not true. You're not the good guy. You're the idiot. And that you won't applaud a kid with cancer getting an honorary Secret Service badge, um, a kid getting into West Point.
I mean, Jeff,
All
I
Yeah.
posted about this on my Insta stories, which like the people who follow me on Instagram now are all like suburban women and all this other stuff. I like said, I was like, I think it's like embarrassing that they couldn't stand for things that like normal things. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, a kid getting into West Point, a child with cancer getting this little, this honor and she like a woman freaked out. Like and I won't say who it is because yeah, but like
Would
she
I know
freaked
this woman?
no.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you afterward. I
Yeah.
don't want to release it out on here, but like she freaked out and I was like, "Girl, I'm sorry, but like
This is it.
this is something that you like on a bipartisan level, we should be able to clap for a kid getting into West
Well,
Point.
but
Like there's no hypocrisy here. There's no nothing here. Like he got into West Point. That's an
but
honor.
what
You
did
should be able to clap for
do
him.
you remember? Do you remember what Trump was talking about when he called Warren Pocahontas? He's like, "Oh, look, even Pocahontas won't even say anything." And
I
like,
think it was yeah,
what was it?
well that comment when I was like watching it, I
Yeah.
literally was like, "Oh my God, he
Yeah,
did it."
but I really thought about that. Like, it finally dawned on me. Look, I was in running for office I ran for Congress in 2012 with the Scott Brown re-election where he lost to Warren's first election. And it really didn't they said the whole they back then they tried to make Pocahontas, and she checked the box of the being Native American to get her thing. And then I was just reading last week
So that
after
was
that comment. Yeah.
yeah, so like when that was going on, that's when I moved up here her first election. And I remember when she ran and she was running on that like thing that she was like Native American and like
Mhm.
literally Cherokee like genealogists came out and were like, you're not.
Right.
And like
But
it did not matter. Like the press around here did not care. I like was like so shocked because
yeah,
like you
well, they don't
you
care. They knew they
accept that
weren't gonna. They
his
wanted Scott Brown gone because
yeah, you don't
Obama
accept that
re-election. Yeah.
history if you're not actually it. Like
So,
she
but but really think about it. It wasn't just some Republican talking point. I really, looking back, she was supposed to be this scholar, this brilliant mind, this Harvard lawyer professor. And the more and more you peel each layer, it's like, oh shit.
but I think
Hang on, she was a middling mediocrity in Texas, and she checked that box, and it skyrocketed her to Harvard Law School, book deals, getting in with the, call it the powerful forces that helped her create the CFPB, and it was all bullshit, and she didn't earn any. She really didn't earn any of it. She's not that bright. It's abundantly clear in the past 13 years that she's been in office how ill-suited and how not a lightweight of an intellectual she is.
I
It's
also think her
astonishing, but it
partisanship
really
has
got.
made her, yeah, I think her partisanship has also made her even more stupid over time. Like
That's
it's
fair.
pretty bad.
Yeah,
Um, First of all, she's like a very awkward person, even in Massachusetts, where New Englanders are not well known for like, I don't know, like when I moved up here, New Englanders were kind of frosty, but now like they're really good friends, right? And then in the
yeah.
South,
I mean,
like
we'll
you
be frosty, but like it's not. I mean, you're from down south, so
where everyone's like really friendly from the get-go to the point of we smile at people where people would
yeah.
think I'm creepy. But at the same time, like she is awkward and frosty.
Yeah, there is a dearth of weird politicians that have somehow
Like when
made it to
you
elected,
see
but
her,
yeah,
yeah, when you see her up in like Lawrence and like when she's doing like campaigning at these like areas where she would never go, like Haverhill, like places where she would never go otherwise, she's awkward as hell. It's pretty bad when you watch her do it. Yeah, no, I laughed when he called her Pocahontas during the speech
but
because it was funny.
but it rips her apart because it's like calling her that is it's perfect. It's
Like, and
perfect.
they don't even like when people like try to come out and like say how bad it is. Like now at this point, like I think
No,
one person like defended her. Everybody else was like, "Oh God damn it, he's so funny," and this sucks.
he just absolutely wrecks her with that every time because there's nothing she can say. She's a hysterical fool at this point. She just embarrasses herself all the time. Now, I say all this knowing we just lost to her 60-40 in the state. So, but that's more on the voters and and what's wrong with them that we have to
And
convince
also
them.
who we put up a run against her. Let's
Well,
be
Dean, I
real
mean,
as he was not ever going to win that race, and I think that we can be honest about that. And
there, but at this point, there are very, very few candidates we could put up that would be competitive.
right, like if Charlie Baker ran against Markey, that would be a race.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we can talk about that later because there's always been speculation about it. I can't conceive why he would ever want to leave the NCAA to the
He's
U.S.
got the
Senate.
greatest job in the world. He's just
Correct,
he's
absolutely
sports.
correct.
He's sports. He's a grandpa. It's like,
Yeah, like
why would you even subject yourself to
you don't
that?
want to live in DC,
No,
like Charlie, no.
no.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, the speech itself, I thought it was one of Trump's better speeches. He didn't trail off. He was very tight with all of the message discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dems were mad the entire time. They looked poor. The polling afterward was terrible for them. They looked like shit. Like, I mean, again, if you can't stand and clap for a high schooler getting who lost his dad, who I think was a police officer in
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles, if you can't stand for that, like, yes, you're gonna look like crap. Like, these
They
are bipartisan things that we should be proud for
But they're
in
just it's
country.
pure
Like,
stupidity. You know, Ayanna Presley with her dumb little placard. It's just childish. It's
they
childish and
all had
pathetic
them, like, and it
pathetic.
goes into like the bigger aspect that we're seeing with the Dems now, where they're rudderless. Like they have no, like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, they're not leading the party in the way that the party wants because the party's angry. They're angry about losing to Donald Trump, but they don't have really a vision for how to go forward. And so what they're going to try to do is ride maybe Trump being his approval going down and his disapproval going up. And I don't think that's a feasible
That's
plan
not a good
for
idea
them.
because let me tell you, right now, like you and I are the barometer for what we like out of our Republican Party. Okay, and right now we are 100% when all you silly boomers post on Facebook or or whatever, whenever they're
They're
like,
silly.
"Is this what you voted for?" and then you post some Occupy Democrats lie. about what's actually going on, and you and I both read the news and are intelligent enough to go, okay, that's not really happening. The cuts to the NIH are really just, well, no, you're capping overhead expenses at 15% of the grant. They're cutting scientific research. It's like they're
Well,
not.
maybe, I
They're
mean,
not.
some scientific research probably does need to get cut. Like
Well,
we
some
don't
of
need
it, of course, but
we don't need to be giving money to every Tom, Dick, and Harry out in the world. That's
but
my personal opinion. But at the same time, like the Democrats crying over things like Doge and all this other stuff. It's like, yes, maybe Elon Musk could be a little bit more targeted in leading these kids. Like I feel like the clutching the pearls over it has like reached its high
I,
peak and is now on the downtrend.
this
I
is this is where I put my business hat on and I go, no, he's actually do. This is the what we were talking about last episode with Jonah and the dispatch crew. Where like, not like this. We want to cut government spending, but not like this. No, it's like no, it has to be like this. It has to be like this. You get all the
You
hard
have to put
decisions.
it,
Do it
yeah, you
now.
have to put it out in the forefront. Like
Yeah.
that's the problem. Like we keep on putting out like what I mean, Rand Paul does this the best during Festivus, where he talks about what the government is spending money on and what should be cut and all of this other stuff. And so we're doing that the best way we can through the executive, I think. And the other half of that is that they recently had to do a continuing resolution on spending to keep the government running essentially. And it's not really a package where they can cut a lot because continuing resolutions is again, it's a continuing resolution just to fund the government
Yeah.
and can fund it where it is right now. Um, so they're not going to be cutting a lot based on that. The Dems in this situation, like it was funny this week. Like I'm sorry, but like again, they have no real leadership in their party. Like Chuck Schumer has no idea what to do. Hakeem Jeffries doesn't really know what to do, doesn't know how to message. He's completely awkward and cringe. Like every single time he posts, it's like some weirdo thing. And I literally am like, wow, like that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but how many times can you call like people like me like a MAGA extremist? Like I'm not that, right? Like that's the problem.
Well,
And so like it doesn't
you
resonate with me, but like you just see their base voters getting like super angry. And so like there were these polls that came out today, right, from CNN and
mm-hmm.
NBC that showed let's see, the Democratic Party has only 70%, not 70, 7,
Yeah,
okay?
single digit.
7%.
Oh, you did you just try to do the Friends thing? That wasn't like
What, this?
seven.
Did I do?
no, no, there's
Am I like
you're a
being,
millennial. Didn't you start watching Friends on Netflix? There's that.
I don't watch Friends,
Okay,
Jeff.
well, there was a famous scene with Monica about seven. Go look it up.
Oh, okay. Well, I went later. The Democrats have 7% strong favorability in the United States right now. Seven single digits. Their approval overall in the United States is 29.
Yeah,
In my adult life, even my childhood, I don't think the Democrats' approval rating has ever been that low. Um, and it's how can I say this? It's fun to watch. But at the same time, it's also bizarre to me. So like I literally am like, it's kind of surreal how everyone hates the Democrats.
I
But then it comes up in Congress. Let me get this point out. It
uh-huh.
comes up in Congress that, a bill that could have banned biological men competing in women's sports comes up and they're wondering why are we so unpopular? Why does everybody hate us? And then they vote against an 80-20 issue and it's like, yeah, no shit why everyone hates you. This is why. It is an 80-20 issue. Even 30% of Dems, if we're going to cut the entire country in half in 50-50 when it's really like 51-49, like 30% of Dems even agree with the Republicans on this one
Oh yeah,
issue. You can't bring yourselves to support it, like your own voters.
they are so
And it's
scared.
like,
They
right.
are so scared. Like this is the weird part. It's 80-20 issue. I agree, and half of that 20 doesn't even agree with it. They're just too scared to speak up because
Yeah, it's really like
because they don't
probably a
want to get
90-10.
attacked by the insane 10%.
Yeah,
Insane
like,
10%. And
yeah.
what bothers me a lot is like nationally, we're definitely the party of sanity and normalcy on things like that. Locally, though, it's a whole nother thing. Like you got the Attorney General and Maura Healey and Ed Markey talking about our trans kids, and it's like, do you understand what age of consent means? Like, do you understand what you're? They're like anybody talking about
The
trans kids.
dialogue on
Yeah,
this issue is so, again, I'm from the South. I was raised in the South. I actually grew up, my dad worked with a trans woman. So it's not like I was never been around this in the South, okay? Like, I want to make sure that that's perfectly clear. But like the dialogue around the trans kid stuff, even around Massachusetts, is like, wow, like our state is actually outside the norm. And
no,
I don't think that
they're
people here do not realize that they are outside of the norm on this issue.
there is a spectrum of thought on this issue across the country and across the board, from your Munchausen by proxy mothers who are actively transing their kids, and they're all it's you have nobody's asking logical questions to normal people, like saying, okay, why in the last 10 or 15 years is this now a thing? It's because it's being pushed. Why is, I'd say, 90+% of the children, or the parents of the children this is happening to, are extremely liberal on the left? Why? Well, because it's a social contagion. So those little things, and that is the base, the activist base of the Democratic Party, and it's really troubling because the kids that maybe they grow up to be gay, maybe they grow up to be not be gay, maybe they're bi, whatever. They're being robbed of that by this agenda
As
being pushed
somebody
on them.
who
And
was
yeah,
as somebody who grew up and was like a tomboy as they were growing up, like I wasn't even feminine until, like, I didn't even dress feminine until really middle school. Like I dressed like a tomboy, like pretty, except I had long hair. It was the 90s, whatever. Um, as somebody who grew up that way, if I thank God that I was not growing up within this time period where like someone would bring me into a room and try to ask me about my gender identity,
mm-hmm.
because that is, first of all, confusing to a child. And second of all, it's adults kind of pushing their thoughts processes on children, and I don't agree with it. So you get back to like the concept of consent. Like I, I don't think a child can really understand or
They
comprehend like the
they can't
long-term effects of
they can't.
like the type of
It's
thing.
it's it's why we have these laws about the age of consent for sex, because it's there for a reason. Like 18 is it's like it's
And
there for a reason. It's the
and
age of maturity.
in the South, when you get some weirdo bozo who's like, I think we should get married at 15, it's like, No, you're weird. Like we
Right.
think, like even we think you're weird. Like that's not going to ever change. Like you're weird. And up here, that's not the same thought process.
Well, not in
And again,
regards to this. I mean, like marriage at
but then you have
marriage at
Seth
16.
Moulton coming out of the woodwork being like, "Oh yeah, I as a father of a daughter, I agree that biological men shouldn't be playing in women's sports." How did he vote on this issue, Jeff? Do you
Yeah,
actually know? He
he voted against it. Yeah.
he voted with Dems,
Yeah.
FYI. He voted with Dems to block the bill after he fucking said it. And it's like, I mean, I obviously didn't go to his town hall in my district up here because, again, I'm, to be quite honest and quite hilariously, the security reasons of these town halls the Dems have been putting on like people coming in is quite ridiculous. It's like almost having to go through the airport. Like, and I think that that is crazy. But anyway, yeah, no, the Dems are in deep disarray. They are without really a message. This is worse than 2017 after Trump came in the first time.
Mm.
They don't know what to do. Their polling is
The
horrendous. Everybody I know who is a Dem refuses to talk about politics right now, and not because they hate Trump, it's because they kind of know that their party is full of losers. And I mean, the
it's so
joke
funny.
that I have now is like my friends are like, "Oh, well, we can tell jokes now." And I'm like, "Yeah, Trump won, right? You
Yeah.
can tell jokes again."
I
Like,
it's the funny thing. It's like your personal life and your public life, like out here on Twitter, I'll comment. It's like I comment where I sort of think I need to chime in, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but
I
personally
just
on like
crack
on
jokes, guys.
Facebook with personal friends, it's like I'm not really saying anything. It's just like, yeah, this is what I voted for. I want this. I give him an A minus
They're like
again because
they're like,
the tariff issue is still bugging me. But
yeah, no, the
tariffs don't
tariff,
work. Look. I get it as a
yeah.
negotiating tactic. It's fine. But if the tariffs stick around, it's no. It's a tax. It's bad.
You
Don't do it.
you need to
Yeah.
right. You need to figure out this stuff with Canada. Although I think Mark was it the new PM of Canada, Mark Carney.
Mm.
I don't think that his approval rating will stay high. I think he's a little bit weird. But yeah, no, the tariff stuff, they'll eventually figure it out. I think Mexico seems
The
to
markets
have
one.
figured it out. Sorry,
There's
I said that Mexico seems to figure out the tariff stuff with Trump the best, which is crazy, because their president is a very far left woman. But Trump seems to respond to women leaders really well, which is kind of crazy in its own thought. So, except for Merkel, who sucks.
yeah.
Um, Everyone knows my personal vendetta against Angela Merkel. Very lucky that the
There's a
bar is.
lot of articles being written about how much damage she's done over the past
She's done a
10,
ton of
15 years.
damage.
Yeah.
Again, she is very lucky that the bar is in hell for Germany's worst chancellor ever.
Whoa.
Um,
Time out. Let's.
Sorry,
There was another chancellor that
no. What I'm saying
last
is
50
that
years. You said
he,
worst chancellor ever. There.
he's the last worst chancellor of Germany has set the bar very, very low, and she's very lucky that it
Oh,
is
okay.
so low.
All right. I got you.
That's what I mean by that. She's very lucky the bar is in hell because
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got you. The bar being low in hell. Got it. All right.
yeah, the
All right.
line, the
Understood.
expectation. I mean, if she even reaches above that expectation, it's better than. But at the same time, she sucked as chancellor. One of the reasons why we have all these issues in Europe right now concerning the Ukraine war, migration into Europe. We can go on and on.
Mm.
Their domestic energy policy in Germany is all her fault. And all these other things. I like their new chancellor though.
Mm.
Merz seems like he's doing a decent job for the country. So that
Okay.
was my side note.
We're middle of March. I'm still giving Trump an A. Maybe an A minus on the tariff thing. I think the markets. There's one thing Trump will listen to is the markets. Stock markets. The markets will
He seems like
provide
he did because,
a
yeah,
corrective to the tariff issue. But I'm still
it
giving
seems
him
like
an
it did.
yeah.
It seems like it did. On Friday, it seemed like it went back into green. I mean, obviously, when he throws around the tariff things all the time, that's when the market goes haywire because they don't really, markets, they want that security, and
Stability. You just need stability.
stability. And I do agree with the point that we're going to have to dampen demand somehow to get inflation to go down. But at the same time, we don't need to
Yeah.
scare everybody into not buying
Well,
because it can't solely be me propping up the economy by myself, my friends. So
well, yeah. If you see
the husband
if you
over
see
here does
Caitlin's
not like it.
if you see Caitlin's closet full of shoes, you'll buy stock in Fendi or whatever.
I
Uh,
actually don't own any Fendi shoes, and there's this pair of boots that I've been, sorry, side note, rant. Jeff, get your drink. You can take a hot break for 10 seconds. There's a pair of boots that I really want from Fendi, but I did not buy them when they came out, and now I can't find them in my size at all, and they don't sell them anymore, so I have to find them secondhand. Yeah. Anyway, next
speaking of
topic.
running, so one thing I'll tell you, we do know they are in disarray because one of the main things they're running the exact same playbook. Our attorney general is doing nothing but suing Trump. Maura Healey is blaming her problems on Trump. I think even Mayor Wu.
What did she blame on Trump?
Oh,
More?
the cost of everything going up. The cost of energy is because of the tariffs that really haven't kicked in yet. Like
The cost of our
Yeah,
energy cost in Massachusetts being high is because she, a few years ago, decided to screw the entire state before she became governor when she sued to stop pipelines coming to Massachusetts.
that
FYI,
is correct.
everyone should
And
know this.
so,
She's actually at fault for our energy costs being so high, but we also live closer to the coast. So our gas, I mean, gas has gone down for us
well, because
up
it's
here.
gone down nationally, and
Yeah.
it's a
Well, because
commodity,
the
right?
Republican is in charge, and I don't know, it's called drill, baby, drill. Just release.
Yep. Well, there is a something here that I can say. Let's do this. Maura Healey's best hits. A special shout out to Massachusetts Fiscal Alliance. Paul Craney doing good work. So speaking of what Caitlin did, I'm going to play a couple clips for you. I'm going to cut one short, but here we go. Speaking of, let's not forget this. This needs to be, you're paying sky high things because of sky high rates because of this.
Remember, I stopped two gas pipelines from coming into this state.
Governor Maura Healey. She's been on a crusade against natural gas since her
and
day.
then to follow it up with this genius.
The issue that we have in New England is that there are, for a few days of the year, prices are high, maybe 7 days. You don't build a gigantic pipeline for 7 days a year.
That's the Secretary of EEA of Massachusetts. We have
These people, I swear,
I gotta say this though. I'm sorry, I said this on Twitter. We have the stupidest fucking people running our government, and they were like, look, they had a D next to their name, and they got elected. I know it says it's always a reflection on us because nationally, I say this about when people are complaining about Trump. It's like you lost to him. What's that say about you? We're losing to these idiots. So Maura Healey shuts down two pipelines, and it's like, and then this brainiac she puts out at a press conference saying prices are only high for like 7 days a year. So why build a whole new pipeline for that? And you want to gouge your eyeballs out and smash your head against a wall with the stupidity.
well, she also just like doesn't care about the average voter in the way that everybody thinks she does.
Yep.
Because again, even if the prices are high for 7 days a year, you saying that is like, are you serious? Like, no, 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 no. Like, I don't want the prices to ever be high. Like,
Well, they won't get nearly as high if you
and she
provide more supply.
right,
That's
like
it.
it is really an economic issue and like supply
It's
and
supply
demand.
and demand.
Like
It's very very. It's
we're
the
at the basics of like all these arguments and like it's
they
like people
don't
like
understand it.
really
They don't
does
understand it. It's the
it.
law. It's not the theory of supply and demand. It's the
Were
law.
you
If you make
were you
something
playing
scarce,
too much basketball at Harvard where you couldn't figure this out? Like, did you not go to class that day? My thing with her is like she says it's like Liz Warren, Jeff. Like Liz Warren has regressed in her intelligence. Like Maura Healey, when she speaks, does not speak intelligently. Like it's not even like speaking down. It's like you have nothing to say. And so I can't listen to her speak.
she doesn't have I
Even as a
really even
politician,
question you. You don't.
she's not an engaging speaker. Like even as a
No. She's
like
not.
when you hear her speak as a politician, like Charlie Baker is like personal and funny. Like when you're first around him and B when he speaks. She's just so terrible. And then like the thing is like her policies affect us. Like let's take the immigration issue. She decided to take a surplus that Charlie Baker left her and then created a deficit because she decided to use state money in order to help fund migrants in hotels, acting like we were not going to notice. Like, and it's like, no, we did notice.
Billions.
Like billions of dollars. Like,
And I want
and
to.
that's my money that you were spending that on. I want the roads to be fixed. I don't want to be funding that. Like I would like to not drive over potholes like on state interstates and like highways. And you're you're funding this. You destroyed pipeline projects that would have like upped supply of much needed energy
Mhm.
and you just like, and people don't get it. Like, again, it's like the D behind the name thing here, where like, again, we ran somebody who was never going to beat her. We can be all honest about
Oh
that because
yeah,
we have
I
been
mean,
in the
Jeff, like
past.
this is
But at the same time, it's like and we said this after she won, if she stayed in a centrist position the entire time, she'd be teed up for reelection. She'd have an approval sky high, and she doesn't. And it's like,
she's an avowed progressive. They believe
right,
in climate ideology, the climate religion. It's just so foolish and detached from reality. And a little tangent here for next year. I can see already this priming. There's a candidate. I forget his name for one, but there's a guy running for governor. He's already said he's running for governor. He's a former military guy. I saw it coming through Facebook Twitter for like a second, and he's right out there with America first. Like he's going full Trump train. Okay, fine. You knew that was coming. The real question, and Jessica Machado, the reporter.
mhm.
Yeah, so she's done some great work, like covering Karen Reed and some other political stuff. She's going back and forth with an account that follows me. That I know the guy who runs the account, and I won't mention it now, but one of the RTCs, and this RTC, and I've gone back and forth with them. It's like every fucking time they don't get it. Be like, you want your purity test. You want somebody to tell you exactly what you want to hear, and you think they're going. But what you want to hear is fucking crazy, and you're going to lose. And this is, and then they're like, this time around, they're like, well, hold on a second here. I think we're going to be a little bit more reasonable. Now they're talking about being more reasonable. And I just want to warn Jessica Machado and the rest of the folks. I've been down this road for like 10, 15 years. You can't fucking work with the Looney Tunes. They will be Looney Tune till the very end, because I read this. I was reading articles about William F. Buckley. It's like they want a glorious loss. They want to lose gloriously. They don't give a shit about winning.
Well, they're the
We need
same,
to
they're
win.
the same type. So, okay. So, like, how can I say this in the best way possible?
You can say it in a
Yeah,
worse
it's
way.
the great. Okay, well, I mean, I could say it in the worst way. I'm not going to. A lot of the times the MAGA criticism of like Mitt Romney and John McCain was like they were gracious losers. Like they lost, they knew they were going to lose and they lost graciously and they didn't fight for it and all this other stuff. So like that is like the reason why they stick with Trump because he fights, right? Um and here in Massachusetts, I think that we need to understand that always what you perceive to be quote unquote fighting for the policy that you want is not always going to be how you win. So you're actually, and then like
Well,
you're the reason why we're losing, and we really want to win. Like the thing is, we're fighting to win, but you're not being helpful with your purity
but
tests.
let's understand something. They're not fighting. They're not fighting. They're complaining to each other, and they're trying to fight with like us. We do more. This
I mean,
show.
I
This show's.
ignore these.
But
I ignore these people now because
yeah.
Jeff, you and I have already won a bigger battle here. Like we helped in that cause, correct?
Yeah.
Like we helped win that bigger battle for the state party, and the state party is now winning. So like, and
But
the
that's
thing
my
is, it's
point.
like I'm gonna still be here. I'm gonna be in the
Right.
party, guys. Like that's the thing. Like I'm a 6 foot woman. Like you're not gonna do anything to me. Like I'm not afraid of you, and
Well,
I'm going
beyond that, but I mean, when I say fighting, I was just like, I remember when Lyons was chair, he would talk about I fight for America first or whatever the fuck he said. It was like, one, you're not really fighting. You're not doing anything. You're not raising
well,
money. You're not getting a
yeah.
message out there. You can't even put together like a coherent press release. Like you're not
And
fighting.
crazy
They're
enough,
bad at it. They're really bad
A-
at it.
right. And Amy Carnevale is actually doing the best fighting by kind of keeping her mouth shut and like promoting our candidates so that they win. Like that's the other side of
Yeah.
this. Like Jim didn't do that well. And so
He did
Amy
he
understands how this is and
yeah
he actively drove us
he actively
away.
did the opposite. which is what these
Yeah,
people do. They
he drove voters and fundraising away. Amy does the opposite of that, while also being like, yeah, I voted for Trump. Like it makes it a situation where people will come back and vote for Republicans. That's exactly what we need in this state.
the Dems being in disarray has made an amazing thing. Which this is true. I guess they've gone to the attack line so many times. Oh, what are you, a Trump supporter? You're a Trump supporter. It's like now you can go look at it and go, yes, you're out of your mind. Now that doesn't mean I back Trump on.
I don't
But when he's
say,
wrong, we still speak up.
I don't even say that I'm a Trump supporter. I say, yeah, I voted for him and I voted for this.
Well,
I voted for
I voted
illegal
for this.
immigrants to be right. When people are like, did you vote for all these deportations and ICE? I'm like, yes, I actually
Yes.
did vote for the
Yes.
deportation.
Yep.
Because the border situation, while you all in Massachusetts don't understand, was so crazy and inconceivable down in Texas. Because again, like this area tends to be in a massive bubble of like, I don't know, liberalism that clouds your entire judgment. Down in Texas, they were having to use state resources to be able to handle border situations. Like, and that is a federal enforcement. The state was having to step in. That is insane. And then in the same way, up here, because have all these sanctuary cities, we were having to use our state money on a federal issue again. So, I think that Massachusetts is really insular in that way. Again, I've lived in a red state and I've lived in a blue state and a hardcore blue state and a hardcore red state. Immigration is one of these like kitchen table issues that like, again, the Dems have a crazy position on. And so, like, when we talk about Maura Healey and the fact that she's a progressive, like, the fact that she even could come out and say, we're not going to get in the way of deportations, like, people would get angry at her over that after Trump won. And it was like, you're crazy. You are crazy. Like, literally, all they're doing is federal enforcement of immigration law, and you all are getting angry about it.
They have, I mean, this is a good segue into the next video. They have an open borders position. They do not believe there should be a country. Like anybody should come here anytime they want. Welcome them with open arms. Pay for everything. Pay for their housing, their food, their clothing, their education. And then have the audacity to later, like last week, complain that a $12 million program got cut federally that provided farm-to-table school lunches. Like that program was supposedly cut. I don't know the exact details. It was like a low-level headline. And Maura Healey complaining about it. This is outrageous. The $12 million, $12 million in the grand scheme of even the Massachusetts budget isn't a lot. But it's just like
but then she said she won't move any of the millionaires' tax revenue over to school lunches. Exactly. Like, okay, thank you, Maura Healey. Thank you for your position.
You supported driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. You supported essentially a de facto sanctuary policy, and this is what you reap what you sow. So, it's a good segue to the next. This is a clip. I'll give kudos to WGBH for putting together the highlights of this. So the audio may run a little long. I can pause it if you need me to, but we'll go here and there because it was an up and down Michelle Wu congressional testimony.
How can you get a comprehensive immigration policy when you're defining it from the very get-go? You're building it on false premises and false tenets.
If you wanted to make us safe, pass gun reforms. Stop cutting Medicaid. Stop cutting cancer research. Stop cutting funds for veterans. That is what will make our city safe.
I had to stop. Sorry. That infuriates me. A laundry list of liberal talking points is not going to make our city streets safe. Law enforcement enforcing the law it boggles my mind. Like she said it in a very articulate way, in a somewhat defiant way, and did the Boston Globe and the local media just eat it up? And bravo, Mayor Wu. You're so bold and progressive and bold. And don't forget bold. Like, that's the stuff that makes me angry because she's saying nothing. It's the opposite of what will solve the problem. You actually have to do hard work, get the police in there, care about the results, care about the outcomes, and not just complain and pass the buck to some other issue. That is why city streets are safe. But boy, did they love that talking point. I'll keep going here.
Are you letting rapists back out on the streets of Boston?
That is not true. That is
Okay.
not what's happening in Boston.
Do you believe that ICE arresting a child rapist, quote, threatens everyone's safety, end quote? Yes or no?
No.
Does ICE arresting a murderous MS-13?
I mean, I don't even know what to say. No.
Yeah.
So, again, I did vote for.
Well, wait, should I play that back to make like the quote? That might have been. Let me just play that back a little. I want to make sure I get that what she's asking and what's right here. Hang on.
Who's the speaker again? Who's asking questions?
This one's Nancy Mace coming up.
Okay.
Stop
Who's not my
cutting
favorite person
funds
right now.
Right.
For veterans. That is what will make our city safe.
Are you letting rapists back out on the streets of Boston?
That is not true. That is
Okay.
not what's happening in Boston.
Do you believe that ICE arresting a child rapist, quote, threatens everyone's safety, end quote? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. That's a normal answer. That's a normal. Do you believe that ICE arresting a child rapist threatens everyone's safety? She's pulling that quote because she's saying when ICE arrests these criminals, it threatens everybody's safety. That was from a previous statement in front of Congress. She makes this the normal answer.
Wait, so she made a comment that when ICE deports somebody and if it's a violent criminal that it threatens everybody's safety?
Yes, this.
She actually said that?
Well, there's been previous statements.
Oh my God, thank God I don't live in Boston.
Yeah.
Like these things are so delusional. And again, like we keep talking about like how Massachusetts is not the norm of public position on a lot of this. I mean, I don't know how in your mind, even in New York City or like any place like else where you can get away with saying such fucking bullshit. Like I just and like people support her. Like when I talk to liberal friends and they're like, "No, we support Wu." And I'm like, "She literally said X, Y, and Z."
Yep.
And like they're like, but like deportation should have like this and that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you are a rapist in the city of Boston and you are an illegal immigrant, you are gone.
This is
like
her statements when Trump got elected were that the deportations, and they even said this early on. Wu said this, Healey said this, that they would threaten the safety of the citizens of Boston. Like, right. So the deportations now. Trump was very clear.
I feel better.
So was Tom Homan.
I mean, I feel better. Like the thing is, it's like I'm sorry, but like these violent criminals that are illegal immigrants, like if they are deported, I feel safer that they're not in our country, and I feel safer that they're not in Boston. Because when I walk around the city of Boston, I would like to know that a violent criminal is not walking amongst me, and especially if they're an illegal alien. Like I don't know what else to say. Like this is common sense. Like trust me, I'm probably not getting approached in the street, and I don't get approached very often. Again, I am a 6-foot woman, but at the same time, how is that not? I just don't understand how that's not common sense. And number two, like what in your brain like promotes the idea that you think that this progressive policy is just like something you should say out loud? I can't relate to these people. Like I cannot relate to them.
Trump derangement syndrome. That's the
I cannot relate. I just can't relate to these people because it's like just such a delusional mindset. And like what scares me the most is like this Mayor Wu went to Harvard. Like she came out of Harvard. So did Healey.
A lot of people did. So it's like,
I mean, the best university in Somerville, or down in Cambridge is actually MIT, FYI. But like, that's my personal.
There's reasons behind it.
I'm very biased.
What's interesting about this is that the thing is, Wu is not in the same position as Healey. And Karine Hajar over at the Globe, who's like the only conservative writer there. I know Jeff Jacoby still writes for them, but the only conservative writer. She said they should have brought Maura Healey in before Congress. It probably would have been a better idea. But Wu was up there with 5 other mayors, And cities are different. I think this is the thing. The expectation is it's like you put progressivism in the norm in a national lens, it melts apart. Like it will. I'm going to play a little bit more in a second. It melts apart because it's absurd. But the cities, there's this concentration of liberals and progressives. So it's this self-feeding apparatus that she's very likely. I thought I said this in the other episode when we talked about Josh Kraft. Wu's in a very good position to get reelected. There's nobody giving her. They're just trying to do a
Yeah, Kraft is not really running a good campaign.
He's not.
Hey, we're not seeing what we need out of it right now. And again, if you're a Josh Kraft, if you're a Kraft staffer watching this right now, you need to talk to your candidate because this is.
Well, they don't know what to say. They don't know what to
Right.
Have me talk to your candidate. Honestly, you have to be a little bit pissed off, not a lot. You don't have to scream and yell, but you got to go after her for what he's a liberal going after a progressive. And the difference between the liberals and the progressive is there is a distinction, believe it or not. But
I would agree with that. I think that liberals, you can talk to them about certain issues, right? Like I can talk to a liberal and be like, they're going to be like, I disagree with you on overarching federal immigration policy and what the strategy is going to be there versus a progressive who is going to be like, open the border like it is free flowing the entire time. A liberal is going to say we should have some immigration policy. And I can at least respect that conversation. I mean, Mayor Wu, like literally saying after Trump got elected that we shouldn't deport violent criminals out of the city of Boston that are illegal immigrants is insane. And then she says the opposite because Nancy Mace decides to put her brain between her ears and says the right question. With Mayor Wu, it's just like, I can't all the time. I don't understand.
She cares more. This is the difference between a progressive and somewhat liberals. Like liberals will still sort of care about the voters. They'll have a foot in with the voting base.
She actively
they'll pull back on bad policy when they're like, they think about it. Yeah, it's really not that bad. A progressive will be like, no, I know what's best, and we're doing this, and I'm making it happen.
Right.
And there is the progressive. A liberal will lecture you all day long about how bad.
And I think
McDonald's is.
Right.
The progressive will ban McDonald's. That's
true.
The difference.
Okay. And I'm going with you to get that nice crisp Diet Coke, that large crisp Diet Coke from McDonald's.
Filet of fish.
McDonald's Diet Coke is just so good.
Yeah.
It's like way different.
They
I
gotta
think.
start serving Coke Zero. I love Coke Zero. It's
my
so good.
God, so European, Jeff.
All right, let's continue with Wu's testimony because we haven't even gotten to the best part.
Does ICE arresting a murderous MS-13 gang member threaten everyone's safety? Yes or no?
No.
I would like to hold up this quote of you where you say ICE's efforts actually threaten the safety of everyone. End quote. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. You're a hypocrite.
I quote.
Thank you. You're gonna take back what you said about Nancy Mace?
No, okay. I mean, that was a good exchange, and that was good that she did that. I just would wish she would not go so hard on some things.
All right.
All of a sudden.
That's not a pun. That's no pun intended. All right, hang on.
What did Tom Homan, the so-called border czar, saying that he wanted to bring hell? He was bringing hell to the city of Boston. What did you understand him to mean by that?
Let's talk about Tom Homan. Shame on him for lying about my city, for having the nerve to insult our police commissioner who has overseen the safest Boston's been in anyone's lifetime. Bring him here under oath, and let's ask him some questions.
In the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city
number.
of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are you
don't
out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policy.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu, do
safe.
you manage
we
your
have
budget
the
or not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city of
the city
Boston
of
is
Boston.
sick of.
Are you worried about ICE?
I think Byron Donalds
He's from Chicago.
Yeah. By the way, the little attitude she threw in there.
Yeah,
You
girl,
know,
you're from. Don't give me like. Come on,
my
like
city, my city.
my
You're not
city.
your. It's not your. Get the fuck out of here.
From Chicago.
I
I mean,
mean,
I'm from the South. Like, I'm not gonna say it like I'm like I've lived in Boston, by the way, for like over 12 years now. But like at the same time, I'm not gonna be like I was like born here on a lot of these things. Like,
I,
my city.
I
Give
mean,
me.
look, I moved to Massachusetts when I was a little boy, and I went to I went to elementary school for, I mean, the first 11 years of my life, and then I was dragged away to the Hudson Valley in New York for middle school and high school, and then I chose to come back to Massachusetts for college, and then the day after college, I graduated. I moved to
Wait,
Boston.
where did you go to college?
UMass Amherst.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I didn't
and
know you were from
yeah,
Amherst.
no business school out there. No, I've lived in Massachusetts like 80% of my life. My parents moved away when I was in middle school, but I chose to come back to Mass. I'm a Masshole. I love Boston. It's the best city in the world, and it's like
It is, out of all the big cities to live in, I will say Boston is probably the best. Like, I've spent
it
time in
is.
New York City, I've spent time in LA, I've spent time in Atlanta. Like, I've spent time in Chicago is absolutely not.
It
Boston
used
is,
to be though. Chicago used to be really good.
I would agree with that.
It used to be really good. No, like New York's a dump. LA's a dump.
New York is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like if we're comparing, like New York is gross. Like when you were in New York, you feel like you need to take a shower at 3 p.m. after walking outside.
And by the way, I want to say something. We're lying to everybody about because she's quoting like statistics and stuff. It's like I lived in Boston under Menino and Walsh. Walsh? When did Walsh get it? I'll have to look up when Walsh get elected before, but definitely Menino. The city was fucking so safe, way safer than it is now. The shit at Downtown Crossing, the stuff in Mass and Cass, none of that was there. She is full of shit. She is full of shit. It was definitely safer under Mayor Menino. And by the way, I'm going to quote the crime statistics. It's like you're not reporting the crime because you told the police you changed.
You have changed the
so
rules
give
have
me
changed.
the bullshit about statistics.
Yeah,
It's
the
like,
laws and the rules have changed since then. I do have to say when I go into Boston, I go like to like a Walgreens with things that are locked up. Like that did not happen like 10 years ago.
Look, it's going to be a hard road. I look, I love Boston. It's my
love
favorite
Boston
city. It's the best
too.
city, but I have bad news for everybody. It's looking like she's going to get, there's no candidate. Josh Kraft has got to find his balls and actually run a campaign and say, no,
Very accurate.
you're doing this wrong. Because this lane where you try to be progressive light is not, no one's going to support you. They want real change to be like, yes, we've got to get the danger. Be more forceful about the issues where you disagree with her about, and start going after her, or don't even bother. Go home, because go hard or go home. That's it. Do your job, and your job is to get elected right now. If you don't want to do that, then
You got the wallet, right? You got the wallet to run this type of campaign. So like, I don't want to hear that like you can't self-fund. We know that you can, and it's important. Like the thing is if you want to run and you got to do it, you've got to differentiate yourself from her, and you've got to do it in a way that is smart. I mean, we need a liberal in Boston if we're going to get anybody that's on the quote unquote left over this progressive nonsense. Like we can't have all of this stuff with like a federal immigration law. Like it is.
Have a rally and play clips of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton talking about immigration 15 years ago. And there you go, man. It's not that hard, but you have to have a spine and put forward an agenda that, like,
and crazy enough, Barack Obama was the deporter in chief when he was around.
Look,
Hillary Clinton is actually pretty centrist on immigration policy overall. That is opposite of maybe what her public persona under Trump has been. But in practice, she is more centrist on that policy. And, but we have Mayor Wu, who is like, no, open the border wide open. And then like uses sanctuary city policies to protect all these people and is in cahoots with Maura Healey on giving them state and city money. Like it's not good. When she was in front of Congress, I didn't actually watch the entire hearing. I only watched a few clips afterward. I was not impressed. She seemed entirely antagonistic, which I can understand a little bit. But at the same time, she came off.
Well, she came off okay because she was eloquent and articulate and defiant, and just said regular Democrat leftist talking points. She also was very well served by there being 4 other mayors up there who were like, the mayor of Denver is a fucking dope. I mean,
and they've got some real problems where like, is it Denver or like one of those other Colorado cities where like the gangs have taken over these apartment buildings?
That wasn't Denver. That was
in Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah. No, but I mean, look, when you have the mayor of Chicago drag before Congress, where there's like murders every freaking weekend,
and his approval rating is like 20%, guys.
Yeah. I mean that.
Well, so and again, it's like the thing is, like they voted for this. Like I just, they actually did have a sane liberal run against him, and that person lost.
So I'd say if you're normal in Massachusetts, let's start focusing our efforts on 2026 and let Boston go. And just we're gonna have to shrug our shoulders unless somebody actually, with a set of balls. And she could show up. Who knows? I mean, there could be, but somebody with a spine to challenge Mayor Wu. Okay, that's it for this episode of the RINO Podcast. Head on over to patreon.com/RINOPod. Only $1 a month for extra content. We always appreciate your support. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.